Hey folks, Mike Shea here from slyflourish.com and twitter.com/slyflourish with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy Dungeon Master Prep. In this weekly show, Sundays at 10 a.m., I go through the steps of Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, which is this book, while preparing for my weekly friendly local game shop D&D game. In this case, we are running the Tomb of Annihilation. If you are in Twitch chat, feel free to say hello. I'm watching the chat over here in my little window over there. I have a new cool background now, so you're not looking at my big ass doors going to my laundry room. So that's nice. It was $11 well spent. And let's see. So today we will figure out what we're going to do in my game. And if we have anything else we want to talk about, there's lots of big things going on in the world of D&D right now. 2 new products were released in local game shops. I'm going to go pick mine up today, but I've also been looking at them in D&D Beyond. The 2 products are Dungeon of the Mad Mage and Ravnica, the source book for Ravnica. So we can chat about both of those if there's interest. What else is going on? I don't know. Not much. So the latest on the book, if anybody's watching this who is a backer from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, you should have received all of your digital rewards. If you haven't received all of your digital rewards, and that's pretty much everybody who backed at the $8 tier and above, log into Kickstarter and thank you for the MSC says nice new backdrop. Yeah, I like that. I also tweaked my colors a bit so I'm not so blotchy. What was I saying? So for digital rewards, log into Kickstarter, go to the Kickstarter, go look at your backed projects, look for the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master one, and you should see some messages that have been sent to you. Open up those messages and you will see the links to the products if you want to download them. Paladin Hulk is here. Hello. And Gondolar is here as well. I am doing well. What else? So the print version, the good news is that 2 out of the 3 print versions are all set. And one of them, unfortunately, the one that we're probably going to ship the most is the one that is not yet set. So the hardcover version is ready. The softcover version of the Lazy DM's workbook is on order. The first proofs of that are on order, and I don't expect problems with it. That one looked pretty solid, so I should be getting those in the next week. For some reason, the paperback copy of Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master is all gummed up in the works. I resubmitted a new cover for it about 12 days ago. It was a week from last Tuesday, and it has been going through processing now for, nearly 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks to day after tomorrow, which is frustrating. It's 12 days, yeah. And I have been in daily contact with RPG Now saying, hey, what's going on? And they have been in daily contact with the producer and not getting a lot of word back, but the status keeps changing. So it's like, well, something's happening. But usually what has been a 2 or 3 day processing time has turned into a 12-day processing time for no good reason, because the same cover and interior has been submitted for a high quality color version just for me to proof it. And that one went through without a problem. And it's the exact same kind of paper and it's the exact same everything. Everything is exactly the same. And it went right through. So I don't know if they're just backlogged or if something's caught up in the system, but I am continuing to contact RPG Now. Unfortunately, they're all on business hours, which means during the weekend I can't pester them. It won't help. So tomorrow I'll check, but they might be off for Veterans Day. And if they are, I will check again on Tuesday and we'll keep pestering them every day till I get it done. So the good news is it should be ready because we've worked on the spine a bunch of times now, and this last version of the spine I think is going to come out. So unless there's some big deal, yeah, Paladin Hulk. It has been a very, very frustrating couple of weeks, particularly because it's like the last part of this whole project, 18-month project, and it's coming down to getting stuck in this one last little bit. And of course, it's the one that everybody wants because 3,000 people backed the softcover version, so everybody wants it. The good news is the price is relatively inexpensive. If you were a backer at the $12 tier, you get it at cost, which means it's like $4.50 for a paperback version. So that's good, plus shipping. What else? So that's the whole Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master current status. I'm glad the book is out. People have been really liking it, and that's been good. I've been very happy with the feedback I've been getting. And people are, even though it had a lot of backers, it's also selling really well, which is nice too. We're just happy to get it in people's hands. So let's talk about the game. As we do every episode, we go through the Lazy Dungeon Master's checklist while preparing for our game. This checklist you can download for free from slyflourish.com. Stepback History is here. Stepback History says that they are pumped for the new monsters in Ravnica. Yeah, why don't we take a quick look at that? I've got it up on D&D Beyond. Where is it? This window. Sorry, too many windows. Bring a new window. For D&D Beyond, go to Compendium, Rules, Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. So I haven't really taken a big, deep look at this. Monster lore, yeah. So one of the interesting things about this book is they said that there are as many new monsters in the Guide to Ravnica as there were in Mordenkainen's. So we essentially got 2 monster books now with a ton of monsters in it. Now I don't know about, and yeah, you can see there's a lot. I wonder if I can count them. Let's see if I can select this. Let's do some. Stick this in Sublime. Tell you line counting in Sublime. Pink. Let's get rid of double line breaks. Place all. There appears to be on the order of, that's not a ton. 86. So not that many different monsters. Still, a lot of monsters. I clicked the wrong window. So what do they got? I don't know. I'm not going to go through all of them. You know, my mind immediately looks for liches and vampires. I'm like, ooh, Devkarian Lich. Okay, I want to know about that. A lot of high CR guys too. CR 14. So this is a Lich. It looks like it has the standard Lich stuff. Noxious Touch, poison damage. Lots of different spells. Circle of Death, Finger of Death. So it looks like what level spellcaster is it? It is a 14th level spellcaster. So that's kind of cool. So it looks like some flavor to some things that are going on. And there's also like a vampire, Mind Drinker vampire. I love vampires too. CR4 vampire. That's a good range for a vampire. Like that's higher than a spawn. And it's got this whole mind siphon thing. That could be fun. Look at that. On a failed save, target takes 28 psychic damage. Yikes. And it looks like a lot of cool spells. Charm Person, Sleep. That looks like a fun vampire. So the nice thing about a book like this is even if you're not playing in Ravnica, you can still steal and reskin all. What did I just do? I did something terrible. You can still steal and reskin all this stuff. And that is always a useful thing to do. So it is worth. A lot of these hybrids are interesting. I don't know what those are about. Guardian Giant. Take a look at that. Ooh, look at that guy. That's a great piece of art. Neat. I'll tell you one thing about Magic, man. They got great art. So they might have recycled some Magic art to do. Ooh, CR8. That's high. 3 spear attacks. Plus 10. 17 damage on hit. So look at this. Like I kind of like monsters like this because they're simple, right? This guy's powerful. 19 AC, 137 hit points, 3 spear attacks, CR8. When an attacker the giant can see makes an attack roll against a creature within 10 feet of the giant, poses disadvantage. So he's a defender. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm picking this book up. I'm not a huge Blood Witch. Ooh, look at her. She's got all kinds of spike chainy bits. Give her a hug and you're going to regret it. CR7. Warlocky type, looks like. Blood Witch Dance, which can use a bonus action to control the movement of one creature cursed by its hex. Ooh, that's cool. She can move people around. That's fun. Paladin Hulk says, I don't know, this monster seems so simple. I don't need someone else to come up with it. Yeah, that's probably true. You could kind of make something up like that. I even for me, it's like I don't know. I like simple ones because they're easy for me to run at the table, and I don't make any monsters. So even if they're simple, I'm not gonna, I don't know. I feel you. I know a lot of people that are like, they're boring. But to me, like the mechanics of a creature aren't necessarily as interesting as the story that they tell. Blood Fray Giant. Look at this guy. That guy's pretty mean looking. He's got punchy arms. Like that guy doesn't need fingers. Another simple guy. I guess all these guys are relatively simple. Natural armor, 103 hit points, CR6, furious defense. After a creature the giant can see is dealt damage by a foe within 20 feet, the giant can make a chain attack against that foe. Wow, so he like marks, other people sort of mark a target. That's kind of cool. But only one attack. Chain. That's kind of funny. Only one attack for 16 damage. That seems light. Navy DM says this may be geared more towards people using Magic by getting into D&D. I have a feeling that is the case. What's interesting is I don't know that there's like an adventure. You'd think, I don't know. I didn't really, like I said, I've only been poking around in here. And I know they have a creating adventures section here. Again, look at great art. So this one looks like sort of like the DMG section of creating an adventure. But I'm kind of surprised there isn't like a starter adventure in it. Ooh, look, that guy's getting headbutt. Zoltan Boros. Cool looking stuff. I wasn't going to pick up the book, but I also don't make my own monsters, so maybe I will change my mind in getting it and add some new stuff. I don't expect that they think this is going to be a huge seller among traditional D&D customers. I don't know. JVC Parry says, right for D&D DM's Guild authors. I think you're right. What's interesting is how much attention was applied to the DM Guild and DM Adepts for the Waterdeep stuff. There's tons of Waterdeep content coming out. But and now there's Eberron stuff coming out, but I was like, well, why isn't there a Ravnica set? Like it might be, I think AL should, what do I know? What does my opinion on it matter? But it would have been neat to see, more, Ravnica adventures, especially for us people that like, I don't know anything about Ravnica, and I'll play in any world. Like I'm playing in people's, I don't know why I would be any less likely to play in Ravnica than I would in someone's home campaign, right? Like a world's a world, and new worlds have interesting things. And the idea of like a planet-wide city with a whole bunch of guilds that sort of run everything, that's cool. I'm in. Doesn't matter to me that it's magic and that it's, going to magic people. That's fine. I can just get the Kobold Press one and some DM resources. Oh, for monsters? Yeah, I mean, I've made this statement before, some controversial statement that like, man, I don't need more monsters. I'm good on monsters at this point. Like between the Creature Codex and the Tome of Beasts and Volos and Mordenkainen's and the Monster Manual and now this and like all this stuff, I'm good. Like I can reskin anything. But monster books sell. People love them, so good on them. And I buy them. So Navy DM says it's been a huge whiff over the years that WotC has been unable to combine their most profitable properties. Yeah, a lot of talk about that like why have they never had a magic thing? And they actually did a bunch of magic PDFs that I used. I stole stuff from them and liked them. There were ideas in them that I liked. The jungle one I stole, and in previous episodes of the show you'll see that I stole ideas from that. I forget what the hell Zendalar. I can't remember the name of it. God, the art is great. I'll tell you one thing. I loved having all this stuff in D&D Beyond, but sitting with the book in hand and seeing the art in the book is really, awesome. Navy DM says, I also 100% need no more monsters. Yeah, I always say that's true, but then I'll if they make another monster book, I'm buying it. So, whatever. But I know what I use, and I default to the monster manual 90% of the time, and then I probably go to the NPCs in the monster manual 90% of the time. So like a book of 12 NPCs can cover me a long way. So they have like good locations in here, so that's good. So I think there's might be enough for people to kind of build their own adventures rather than having like a Fandelver style adventure. But I still think like an intro adventure would be great. Like here's a 2-hour adventure about getting started in Ravnica that sort of hits all of the Ravnica stuff. Yeah, hits the guilds and all that. I wouldn't have minded that. And a lot of books kind of tended to put like an adventure in the back. Though Robert Schwab had a good point about why he doesn't have an adventure in the back of Shadow of the Demon Lord. And the reason why is he's like, you only use it once and then you don't use it again. So it's like this 18-page section of the book that you run one time and then that's it. But, I think it's worth it. There's a lot of books where I don't use anything in it. So I might as well at least have an adventure that I can potentially use once. So anyway, neat stuff. I'm going to pick it up today. Let's take a look at that cover art. Yeah, pretty awesome looking cover art. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I'm definitely. Geeky Destro says, "What book is this?" This is the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. This is a new D&D book that came out in game shops. I guess a couple days ago, and it's up on D&D Beyond now. I think it's on sale too. You can pick up both this and the other one, Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I'm just a sucker for awesome artwork, though. I just love this stuff. Here's the Navy DM's boring character. Is it Navy DM? Am I misapplying that? Paladin Hulk's boring character. Yeah, there you go. Navy DM says fall 25 will get you 25% off any order right now, minus the mega pack. So that's a good deal. In full disclosure, because I write for D&D Beyond, I get this stuff for free. So this isn't really an official review, but just in case you think I'm biased, and just in case you're worried whether or not I'm biased, the answer is yes. I am horribly biased, and you should account for that when considering anything that I say from here on out. I am a shill, but I still love this stuff, and I'd have bought it anyway. All right, let's talk about the tomb. So as we've done in other shows, I'm just going to go through the quick checklist. If you want to follow along, you can go to, it was a fantastic perk, Paladin Hulk. I didn't know I was going to get it. And it's like, man, that's awesome. If you want to follow along, go to the Lazy Dungeon Master. So the link is down both in the show notes if you're watching this on YouTube, or it's available on the links on Twitch down below. There is a Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master link. And ad quote, Shadzar says, "I am a shill." Yes. Sure. The fact is, it ain't, I ain't making my living on this. And I do love what they do. And I think I'll be, honest and critical about things I like and don't like. So go to the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, click on the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master page, and you will see a preview there. And in that preview, you too can get a list of, you get 3 sample chapters, one of which is the checklist. One of which is the checklist of the Lazy Dungeon Master. So we're just going to rip through the checklist right now. Because this is a published D&D game that I'm running, I often don't have to follow all 8 of the steps. And in fact, I bet you for almost any game, you don't have to follow all 8 steps. You pick the steps that you think will help you prepare for your game and prepare to run your game. Which is kind of 2 different things. That might be an interesting thing to talk about. So the checklist is chapter 2. It is a nice short chapter that encapsulates the entire 8-step process. That's the core of Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. And that process is review the characters. Who are the characters? What backgrounds do they have? And how can you incorporate those backgrounds into the adventure you're about to run? This is mostly to throw it into your mind so that you have them in your mind while you're prepping the rest of the game. And you can go, oh yeah, that's right. Ogechi is still possessed by both a Sararak now and by the Night Serpent. So he's twisted by 2 elder evils. What does that mean? So you put these in your mind, and then while you're doing your secrets and you're doing your other prep, you got your characters in mind. Create a strong start. Certainly of the top 3 most important things, maybe the most important thing about a game is what's your strong start? What is going to grab the players and say, hey, we're playing D&D. I was just watching a Gamehole Con game that Chris Perkins was running, and he said, roll for initiative. That is a strong start. There's few stronger starts than roll for initiative. Paladin Hulk says, 2 elder evils. Don't those cancel out? No, they don't cancel out. They grab and they tear you. They tear your soul. That's what's happening to Ogechi. But he's pretty tough. He'll figure it out. I don't know. If you have a choice of being the bringer of the apocalypse by opening the gateway to the realm of the Night Serpent, or becoming one of Acererak's new apprentices, those are strong choices. I don't know. I think he's got it made. I think because he got a lottery ticket. It's like, wow, I get to be both. And then, I don't know. He could become. Here's the interesting thing. That, like, thinking about your character, he could become Acererak's new interest above the Atropol. So he could be like, you know what? Yeah, that Atropol, the god of death, that was a good idea. But now I could have an apprentice who has a hand that can open up the doorway to the Night Serpent. That's pretty powerful too. What if I could channel the energy of the Night Serpent? What if Acererak could get access to another Elder Evil through Ogechi? That could be interesting. That's a character-driven idea. So strong start, what is going to happen right when we run the game? This is important because it's one of the few times we have control over the game. Like how it starts, we have control over. We have almost no control over what happens after that. So coming up with a strong start is really important. Outline potential scenes. If you need a list of scenes to help you kind of feel prepared about what's going to happen, this is... so they already know that one of the other guys is a scion of Zugtamoy. Yeah, see, like the Navy DM remembers all this stuff happening to the characters. So this is all fun stuff. Make sure banging my computer with my knee is going to fall off its perch. So outline potential scenes is really a feel-good thing. What scenes could possibly take place, and just make sure you got them in mind. Like, oh yeah, if they go here, I'm going to have this thing ready. A lot of people spend a lot of time in the potential scenes. I usually just have a few notes about where things might go. Define secrets and clues. This, along with the strong start, is probably the second. Those two are probably the most important ones. And the secrets and clues are, what are the 10 things the characters could potentially discover in this next game? Not where they will discover them, but what they might discover. These can be little bits of lore. These can be important plot points. These can be character hooks. These can be story hooks. They can be little bits of history. They can be all kinds of things. And we write them down without figuring out how they're going to be found so that we can improvise their location during the game itself. This is probably the most powerful lever in Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. It's actually the reason I wrote this book, was because this was not in the original Lazy Dungeon Master, and it was such a powerful idea. I really wanted to focus on it. So there's a lot of, this is a big one. Develop fantastic locations. If you are not running a published adventure, you want to have some good backdrops for your game. What are 5 or 6 interesting places that the characters might find and discover, or where scenes could take place? This is, if you're running a play, what are the backdrops for each of the scenes of the play, and what makes them interesting and fantastic in our fantasy RPG? Who are the most important NPCs that might come up? What are their names? What character archetype might we use to help define them in our minds when we're role-playing them? What monsters might they run into? Do we have to be prepared for what monsters they might run into? We're going to do a little bit of monster fun today, I think, because I need some more. I need at least a couple of Tomb Guardians, custom Tomb Guardians. What magic items might they get? Magic items are important. One of the reasons why it's a step is because it is something that really matters to the characters and therefore really matters to the players, that DMs have almost all control over. So it helps us to say what characters are interested in magic items, what are they going to get, and how do we put those in there. We can use a mixture of random or like a loose checklist. I'm a fan of both the loose checklist and randomness. So some stuff they get just because it's randomly determined, and some stuff they get because that's the kind of thing that helps their character out. You kind of want, I do both. So that's the outline of the 8 steps. For the game today, we're probably only going to focus on a few of these. We're going to review the characters. We're going to create a strong start. We might outline a couple potential scenes. We're going to define our secrets and clues. We're going to skip fantastic locations because we're already in one. We might have one important NPC, maybe. Monsters are usually in the book, so I don't worry about those, except we're going to spend some time with some Tomb Guardians. I always like to have a couple of custom Tomb Guardians in mind. And then we don't have to worry about magic items because the book is littered with them. They are just, it's a Monty Hall campaign right now. Between the abilities that they're getting from the trickster gods and the items they're getting from the trickster gods and other stuff, they're just festooned with magic items at this point. So a lot of crazy going on. So let's talk about the game itself. Now that we've done that, we will go to my Sublime. For previous notes, these are all the notes that I stick up on the YouTube page, so you don't have to worry about them too much. They're all, if you go to YouTube, you'll see them all there. I did mark some of the trouble areas, like what are the areas where people had a hard time running them. And kind of taken more looks at those. I've read them, honestly. Like, what I found, because I'm running this game for both my Wednesday group and my Sunday group, and my Sunday group is further ahead. The Wednesday group, I'm having a much easier time running it for my Wednesday group because I remember what happens in the rooms. Like, I've run them before. It's one thing to read them. It's something else to run them and see where do players get hooked up on them. And it's a hard thing to share. Like, people have shared, like, oh, you really want to pay attention to this tomb. We had a hard time with it. But it's tough. And I suppose, like, it would be interesting if somebody could outline, like, where, so, like, Adam Coble ran this for his game. And it would be great to go back to Adam Coble's game and, like, see what the rooms were like and how the players interacted with them there to get an idea how they're run. So that would be, that's not easy prep. I don't really have a lot of time to do that. Like, it's probably, 45 minutes a room to check those out. That's probably a lot of time. Paladin Hulk watched Coble's game. Paladin Hulk, did you run Tomb? And if so, did watching Coble's game help you run those rooms? I would be curious. All right, so let's take a look at the characters. So we have Smoke, the Tabaxi Ranger Rogue, who's a former companion of Bag of Nails, Hooded Lantern, and Copper Bell. I think, is he possessed? I don't remember. I think he might have one of the... Paladin Hulk says, no, I tend to avoid premade adventures. You and most people, I think it's about 60%, do not run published adventures. I love them. I don't know why. I do wonder, and I'll share it here, after just having published a what I would consider to be a very successful book, I do wonder if that book swayed more towards people who run published adventures than people who don't. I do run games that are not published, and I have run games that aren't published, so I don't think my head was too far in that, but I do wonder, and obviously you saw in the 8 steps, many of those steps I don't do because I don't run a homebrew. But I do wonder, I worried about, like, are there things that you need to develop for a homebrew adventure that I kind of missed in Return, or that I don't emphasize enough in Return. And one that comes to mind that kind of scares me a little bit are character hooks. Do I really have story hooks? There's definitely room to put story hooks in this checklist, but I worry a little bit that more emphasis should have been applied to story hooks, maybe more so than scenes, but I'm not sure. And it's too late now; it's published. That'll be for the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. But I don't think that's a problem. Like, plenty of people have. Well, especially on Twitch and on the internet being so prolific to discuss D&D, people already know everything before they have time to live it and play the adventure themselves. Everyone already has seen it. Everyone is a strong term, Shadzar. I don't think any... I have one player in my group who I know has run Tomb of Annihilation before. But I don't know anybody in either of my groups who have watched other people run Tomb on Twitch. The only one was when Chris Perkins runs his Acquisitions Incorporated game. I have a couple of players that like to watch that, including myself and my wife. And he spoiled the end of Tomb of Annihilation, which kind of made me mad. Other than that, like, they're, my players don't watch a lot of... my players tend to be Gen Xers. And they don't watch a lot of... I don't think they're watching the Twitch versions very much. I got one friend who plays in a different game of mine who watches Critical Role all the time. So not necessarily everyone. And I haven't, and it would have helped me run it. All right, so characters. So we have Smoke, the Tabaxi Ranger. I think he's possessed by one of the trickster gods, but I can't remember which one. Gabriel Tharmond is also Dreams of the Soulmonger, and is also has a trickster god. I think his trickster god is by Unk. He's indecisive and obsessive, but does give you a tremendous constitution score. Ogechi. So if you recall, in last week's game, Ogechi had the black key, which was this key that opened up one of the vaults in... this was in Unk's tomb, I think, with the Minotaurs and the maze. And when he did it, he saw a Sararak who showed up and drew a glyph on his forehead and then gave him the power to... he's got like a blight hand. And he also... beyond having a bite hand, got the 9 lives and already used one of them. And as the 9 lives are ticking down, he's becoming more lich-like. So he's starting to become like the apprentice of a Sararak. We have Warren. Warren is possessed by the crazy one. Where is my little... Back to Tomb of Annihilation. Where's the Trickster Gods? He's got the Obalaka? No. Wongo. Yeah, he's possessed by Wongo. MSC says, I was listening to DM's Deep Dive in the car with my girlfriend who is a player in my SKT, and you talked about the end of SKT, just one sentence. It shocked me for a moment, but they did not hear of Imrith yet, so it wasn't too bad of a spoiler, I think. Sorry. I'm sorry to have spoiled. What's everyone's favorite trickster god? I don't know that they have a favorite trickster god. So those are the 4. Smoke, Gabriel, Ogechi, and Warren are the 4 that have been in the game. Huit Celine, the player, has now become an on-call player. And Punchy, unfortunately, cannot make it today. The character of the player for Punchy, James, cannot make it today. And we have a new person that my friend Joe, who plays Ogechi, is bringing along to the game. And I don't know the name of the character yet, but I do know that it is a falling Aasimar paladin who tried to protect another group inside the tomb and got lost and now has been wandering around the tomb. So they'll kind of show up as well. So that could be interesting. So those are the characters in today's game. Now, where it starts is highly dependent on where it ended. And where it ended, I believe, was in Area 49 or 46. So let's go back. That was in the Chambers of Horror, fitting name. And 46 is where the lizard is. There's another devil face. This one is holding a lizard. It would be interesting if the lizard was somehow connected to this new fallen Aasimar. I like Ankh, and I like Ankh because my wife likes Ankh. She will be so happy to be possessed by Ankh, I think. If she doesn't get killed by something terrible. So I like the idea of the smart lizard. That has a that this was in Chris Perkins' game too. So what is the lizard? Does the lizard have a name? Time for a random name. Links, names. Bink. Let's see. I know it's a fun name for a Lizzie. Geode Freed. How about Lenny? But the strong start would Herbert. Herbert is pretty good. We'll go with Herbert. Lenny is the lizard in Littlest Pet Shop. So Herbert. So I'm trying to think of like how to bring the arch. So we could have a Tomb Guardian. and then it could be stalked by the new character. That would be cool. So here's where we're going to do a little bit of fun. So let's make I even have dice. I brought dice in a Crown Royal bag as my set of streaming dice. I don't know if it needs to be Chulton because it could have been found by an adventurer who wasn't from Chult. So I think Herbert would be fine. Let's see. We want, what am I rolling for? I got a cough. I forgot my water. Let's go to the workbook. The workbook is another book. If you're following along at home, we have 2 new books, Sly Flourish on the Sly Flourish Empire. One of which is Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. The other one is the Lazy DM's workbook, which is this book here. 2 episodes back, I went through the full workbook from cover to cover. So if you want to see what's in it, you can do it there. You can also see preview chapters and get a full list up on slyflourish.com. But today we're going to use it in a different way. So it's got things like traps. And it's got monuments, and it's got items and stuff. But we're going to use a couple of different tables from this to generate a tomb guardian, interesting tomb guardian. So we start with an origin. So we're going to use the random items table for the origin. We get a d20, we roll. The origin is divine. So there is a divine tomb guardian. That is awesome. It is wielding 2 weapons, a dagger and a battle axe. So it's got a dagger in one hand and a battle axe in the other. And then we're going to throw some effects on this. We could give it armor too. What kind of armor? Oh, that was the wrong die. And I hit my keyboard. I need a D12 for the armor. It is wearing scale armor. Tomb Guardian arrives. Divine Tomb Guardian, scale armor. What AC is scale armor for those following? Empyrean stats, maybe. I'm going to keep using the Tomb Guardian stats, which is essentially a flesh column. Flesh columns are really good. So the dagger. Oh, thank you, sir. Navy DM knows AC 15 for that. So it's not wearing plate, it's wearing scale. The other ones wear plate, but that's all right. So then we want to do some nastiness on this. So we will go to the random. We can either use random monuments or random. We'll go with traps. And we roll twice. The dagger is a blinding dagger. The battle axe is a maddening battle axe. So that is vicious, right? Blinding dagger and maddening battle axe. So the DC, what is a good save DC? This is dangerous. When you figure out like a monster DC, it's a little different. 14, well, we're going to get the scale seems pretty light. We'll make it, plus he's got some thick skin underneath. I look at medium DC. So we're going to give it a DC of 15. It's an ASMR, so it's got some dex going with it. Blinding dagger, DC 15, and madness. So blinding dagger. What's blindness? Is that will? Is that wisdom? And that's DC 15. Charisma. Drives people mad. You're hit with the axe, and you're filled with bloodlust. And we roll in the madness table. So that's pretty awful. So they'll be fighting him, and then it turns out that this particular Tomb Guardian will have been stalked by the new guy who stalked it in particular because it is also Aasimar, right? It is hence the Divine Tomb Guardian. That would be cool. I guess it's Con for Blind, yeah. Thank you, JVC Perry. You are correct. Constitution save for blindness. So as you saw, that's a cool way to quickly... let's make it a little bit more dangerous because I'm a dick. So why don't we... And it is the Tomb of Annihilation. Therefore, I'm not a dick. Withers is a dick. What kind of aura... we'll use one of the monument auras. What kind of aura surrounds the Guardian? Radiant aura. So it has the equivalent of a flat fire shield. Which is 9. When you hit it, you take 9 radiant damage back, right? I believe a fire shield is 2d8. Or am I overdoing that one? Fire. I can't spell. Fire shield, 2d8. So we will do a flat 9 damage when it is hit. So it's got this radiant aura around it, this blinding radiant in its dagger. That's going to mess up the melee fighters. Yes, it will. Yeah, it is the Tomb of the Nine Gods. So, what I like about this is like the Tomb Guardians that are in the book are pretty vanilla, right? And you know what we're going to do? We're going to have a second in the monsters. Let's just do that right now. Although I've got 17 minutes to actually do all the rest of the prep of the game, including the secrets. We're going to do another Tomb Guardian to have one on hand because I think it's useful to have another guy. So let's do... we will go with the random items. It is an Abyssal. Oh, Abyssal Tomb Guardian. That is very cool. Demonic. It is fighting with a maul and a rapier. That's kind of funny. Abyssal Tomb Guardian with rapier and a maul. So it's got like a long stiletto-like appendage, and then a huge maul. Wham! I love making these things. And we will go with, we'll go back to traps here. The rapier will be lightning rapier. With a lightning rapier. Are you letting them short rest in the tomb? I do let them short rest, but if they hang around too much, Tomb Guardians show up. Yeah, it uses the rapier to shank them. Just, vicious. Electrocutes them from the inside. And the maul is poisonous. I'm going to flip these. We're going to have a poisonous rapier, which looks like a giant... so one hand will be like a giant syringe. And a lightning maul. That does make more sense. And essentially for the lightning maul, we'll add like 7 lightning damage. And the poisonous rapier will be DC 15 or poisoned, plus 7 poison damage. And if we feel like being a schmuck, we will add an aura. 12. A deafening aura. So they're silent. So how about a silence aura? So like the whole area, like what's going on? Like, wham! And that hoses spellcasters. So see, now we've got a second Tomb Guardian, one that hurts fighters because of the flame fire shield, and one that hurts. So everyone's getting screwed equally. That's what we want to make sure of. The stealthy, it sneaks around, with that maul. And maybe like human skin man. This guy could be like the silent version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy. So that was a fun way to create a second monster. So scenes that take place. So let's go back. Let's go. So hang on a second. We will return to. So that's a fun way. I hope that you enjoyed taking a look at how to use the workbook in a different way. Right, in that place, we're customizing monsters. So we wrote those up. Scenes. So we're going to take a look at the map. So they have gone through all of room 52, all of room 55, all of room 50. That was insane, by the way. Room 50 is the magic mirror, and if you smash it, everything comes out, and everything came out. So that was nuts. They did all of 49, which almost killed them all. That was really hard. And now they have the elemental chambers, these 47s and 48. So I think that 47 and 48, the elemental cells, and 48 Shagambi's tomb. Oh, I was going to do the Call of Jilly too. We'll do that if there's a rest. The doppelganger disguised as a human in the mirror is super funny. Yeah, I had the dark elf who popped out, immediately went invisible, and then watched how it went, and later was like, well, I'll see you later, and disappeared. Did you watch Puffin Forrest video on the Fane of the Night Serpent he uploaded? I did not. Maybe you can link that, and I'll take a look at it. I have not heard of Puffin Forrest's video on the Fane of the Night Serpent. What caught your eye about that, Navy DM? Man, I just love having dice sitting around. I'll just roll them all the time. After that, I don't know where they're going to go. And they might not even go to 47. They will discover the secret door because they have like crazy high perception checks. And then they might go... so where's down from here? I guess the stairwell that they went down is down from here. And I guess that's the point, right? Like all of this stuff is where the tombs actually are. But levels 5 and below... his amusing delivery and animations mainly. I'll have to check that out. Thank you, Navy DM. Let me just copy that. Copy link address. So those of you who have run the tomb can maybe help me out with this a little bit. But chambers 1 through 4 are really where the characters are supposed to be getting their asses kicked, right? And then the chambers below, the tomb below, the gears of hate and stuff, is all like not really intended that the characters get down there. I don't think, right? There's no more tombs below level 4. Like this is all about getting below, like this is the machinery that runs the tomb. Yeah, so okay, so this is a good secret. I need my secrets and I only have 10 minutes left. What secrets includes I should hope the videos are mock stories. They're playing Heavy Beer and Pretzels game. The video is the best advertisement for not playing AL. Shadzar says AL has been going downhill without Aducci. I don't think it's been going downhill without Robert Aducci. Robert Aducci is a fantastic guy. I think he was a great admin, but I think they have great admins now. And I actually think that their approach towards Season 8, I know that there's a whole lot of consternation about the Season 8 changes, which we won't talk about today. But I do feel that the bigger focus on story and narrative stuff will be good. The question to me is, can can the DMs that are more traditional AL DMs pick up this sort of new story focused style? That will be interesting. And I'm going to Winter Fantasy where I will find out. So I'm excited for that. And the nice thing is I think that season 8 will have been going a little while, so it'll have picked up its legs by then. All right, I need some secrets, man, and I've got 8 minutes to do some secrets. So the tomb itself is only 1 through 4, levels 5 through 6 of the machinery of the tomb. So he kind of loses track of them if they get out of rooms 1 through 4. What else? Tremendous machinery and power fuels. The exit to the tomb can be found in the southernmost chamber. It's really in the south. If it's really in the south, then it isn't a rumor. Could be like there is an escape. That'd be an interesting, a false rumor. Who would spread the false rumors? Oh, I know one. So this is one. The Sown sisters can actually infiltrate a tiny hut because they can step through the ethereal plane. Yes, this is Sublime Text. That's in our FAQ. We have a little FAQ up top. It says, what editor are you using? SublimeText.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 5 more secrets. What other interesting things? What are the Sown sisters? Here's a, so this is like a bug that we have to make into a feature. Like, why are the skeletons wandering around the tomb? They got loose. It was a mistake. Yeah, they escaped from storage. They kind of wandered around in the Sown sisters. They just sort of got out and then wandered about. The skeleton keys are also another fun one to sort of customize and turn into things. Like I'm going to have like a wizard one and a cleric one, like a divine one. Crawling claws. Yeah, I don't know where to put the keys. They have 2 of them so far. I like putting the keys inside the tombs of the 9 gods because that way there's a reason to go to the tomb. Like a lot of times it's like, well, why are we doing more tombs? What do we want to do with that? So the real quest is get the keys. They don't have to do the tombs, but they do have to get the keys. So I think, let's see. So we know that there's no locations for the keys in this level. Gears of Hate, a key could have gotten out, right? Yeah, so there's lots of opportunities for keys. They put like these little skulls all over the map to show you where a key could be, but it's like every room. So it's like, why did you put the skull? Just say, hey, you can put the keys wherever you want on levels 1 to 5. That's an interesting idea. Like they're trying to stick their head in a hole. That'd be a good scene, right? That's kind of funny. So, yay, we've got secrets. And as you saw, we hammered those out in about 6 or 7 minutes. So you don't really need a lot to do them. And a lot of it you pull out of the adventure, things that have come up and other such things like that. We have some NPCs. We have some another interesting Tomb Guardian. We have the 2. We'll just stick this guy down here too. And we have a cool way to make Tomb Guardians. And we have magic items. So we kind of have everything that we want here. So we're kind of ready. So I'm going to just email that to myself. If I can find the right window. Make sure that I got it. Game notes. How often do I actually pull these game notes up? Not very often. Turns out once you've written all down right before the game, it's kind of in your head. So the skeleton keys in the tomb, Shadzar, their heads are shaped like geometric shapes. And those are the keys, as they're crazy heads. Picturing the keys are skeletons' fingers in the shape of a key that inch around. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah, the keys are actual skeletons. Like physical, full skeletons. But their heads, I have a picture. Hang on, I'll show you a picture. Scrolling, trying to look for a... It's right at the top of it. There they are. So those are the skeleton keys, right? All different shapes. Their heads are shaped in strange... Their heads are shaped into these strange shapes. Their skulls are sort of formed into these strange forms and embedded with these keys. Nyanzaru and the U, yeah, they're a very fun idea, yeah, and I think in some cases they're meant to be weak, but I like the idea that they get more powerful, like the more heads they've got, the more. Yeah, I'll tell you, Paladin Hulk. I think the writing in the Tomb of the Nine Gods, this whole adventure, is really, really, really great. It's my first to second favorite of the published adventures so far. The first being Curse of Strahd. I love Curse of Strahd, but I think that either of these two are both absolutely fantastic adventures. They're really, really great, and I've loved them. So yeah, the writing is really awesome. They're like key skeletons, yeah, something like that. So that thus ends another episode of Lazy Dungeon Master Prep. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I hope it was useful. And if you liked it and you want to see more, you want to kind of follow along, you want to reinforce it, you can look at previous episodes. And I will see all of you guys next week. So have a great week and get some D&D in. Talk to you guys later.